So I hate when people say things like this because it's just false. Half the scientists did not think that neutrinos or the Higgs field or antimatter were radical ideas. I know that everyone likes the narrative of a skeptical majority and a dreaming minority showing that the impossible can happen, but that's not how it really works in real life. You know how old the idea for the Higgs field is? The 1950s. The data we had for symmetry breaking and superconductivity pointed toward the Higgs field as existing, and the first concrete proposal was in 1962. And even then, scientists had already accepted that something like the Higgs field should exist. It is not the case that half the scientists thought that they were radical ideas. Rather, all the data we had was pointing toward the Higgs field existing, so most scientists thought something like the Higgs field would exist. So we proved it through math and indirect observations for decades. It just took until the particle accelerator at CERN to directly observe it via the Higgs boson. So yeah, it's not the case that half the scientists thought that it was a radical idea. The scientists saw the data pointing toward it and then said, okay, let's find a way to directly observe it. The ideas behind neutrinos and antimatter are even older. In fact, the data that pointed toward neutrinos is almost a century old. As opposed to the video you posted this on, which was talking about psychic abilities, in which we do not have data that points toward that as a conclusion. We have done a lot of experiments on possible psychic abilities, and they all come up negative. And most scientists think that they're a radical idea, well, because the data came up negative. They're radical because any scientist that says that psychic power exists is ignoring data. They're ignoring the scientific process, and that's radical. And also not how science works. And also stupid. So yeah, this narrative that you guys like, it's false. You made it up. The Higgs field, antimatter, and neutrinos had a preponderance of evidence for them when we started looking for them. It is not the case that the scientific community thought that they were radical. It was not one dreaming scientist trying to disprove a bunch of skeptics. We took observations, those observations produced data, that data led to a conclusion. That's how we discovered these things. Similarly, that's how we have proven that psychic powers likely do not exist. Because we took observations, those observations led to data, and that data led to a conclusion. It's the same process. So please stop claiming that this is how antimatter, neutrinos, and the Higgs field were discovered, because it's just a lie. You are lying to people.